This video is a tribute to Carl Sagan, my mentor growing up, and I would say one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century. Carl Sagan was an incredible man. He had the ability to look at space and always kept the wonderment of a child, but always saw it through the lenses of a mathematician. Carl Sagan wrote a book called The Blue Dot, and he saw that because when he saw the first picture that came from Voyager, a spacecraft that he was very intimately associated with, Carl didn't have the tools that we have today. I can only imagine and hear his voice now as he would begin to explain that don't listen to the so-called experts who will try to get your mind into a box. And once they get you into that box, you are forever locked out. Carl Sagan would say, explore, challenge, question. Yes, because it's home no matter how we look at it. And we always want to know who our neighbors are. But this is what inspired him. When he saw that picture from Voyager, looking back and seeing that beam of light coming from the sun engulfing our planet, he wrote, "That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you have ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every revered teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam." Oh, if we could just get that wonderment back into our souls. If our leaders could begin to understand it's not about domination. It's not about accumulation. It's about exploration. And folks, that may be the only thing that will save our species. There is a wide, yearning black infinity. In every direction, the extension is endless. The sensation of depth is overwhelming. And the darkness is immortal. Where light exists, it is pure, blazing, fierce. But light exists almost nowhere. And the blackness itself is also pure and blazing and fierce. But most of all, there is a very nearly nothing in the dark, except for little bits here and there, often associated with the light. This infinite receptacle is empty. The vastness of space, right? It's there. He went on to write about our universe. Even these stars, which seem so numerous, are as sands, as dust, or less than dust. In the enormity of the space in which there is nothing, we are not without empathetic terror when we open up Pascal's Pensies and read, "I am the great silent spaces between worlds." We take for granted light because in the vast darkness of the universe, it's the tiny dots of light that catch our eyes the most. Isaac Asimov, I don't know how many of you remember him. He's a brilliant man. Pioneer again. He described Carl Sagan as one of only two people he ever met whose intellect surpassed his own. And those other two, he claimed, was the computer scientist and the artificial intelligence expert Marvin Minsky. By the way, folks, AI, been around a while. I'm going to show you a part of Carl Sagan that is not sometimes taught today and is not really remembered. It turns out that Carl Sagan loved the United States. He was a patriot, and he also had a great fear for this country. In fact, his words, spoken decades ago, have proven to be more of the words of a prophet than a scientist. Check this out. Science is more than a body of knowledge. It is a way of thinking. I have a foreboding of an America in my children's or grandchildren's time when the United States is a service and information economy, when nearly all the key manufacturing industries have slipped away to other countries, when awesome technological powers are in the hands of a very few, and no one representing the public's interest can even grasp the issues. Fake news, folks. Disinformation, folks. Let me continue. When the people have lost the ability to set their own agendas or knowledgeably question those in authority, when clutching our crystals and nervously consulting our horoscopes, our critical faculties in decline, unable to distinguish between what feels good and what's true, we slide, almost without noticing, back into superstition and darkness. That sounds like America in 2017. We are ripping ourselves apart. We're allowing leaders to manipulate us. I've got a video coming that is going to literally shake some of these sacred cows. But back to the point here. His words have come to pass. Now about religion. Found this fascinating because if you have a mind like a Carl Sagan, an Einstein, a Hawkins, I find what they see in many different aspects of the life experience. And this is what he had to say. He says, some people think God is an outsized, light-skinned male with a long white beard sitting on a throne somewhere up there in the sky, busily tallying the fall of every sparrow. Others, for example, like Baruch Spinoza and Albert Einstein, consider God to be essentially the sum total of the physical laws which describe the universe. I do not know of any compelling evidence for an anthropomorphic patriarchs controlling human destiny from some hidden celestial vantage point. But it would be madness to deny the existence of physical laws. And although I can get tongue-tied on the longer words, the point is, can you really make sense that a destiny of a species would be in the hand of a few ancient people? Don't know. This was another quote that he put. He said, this God is emotionally unsatisfying. It does not make much sense to pray to the law of gravity. Now, you can take your point. Now, people accused Carl Sagan of being an atheist. He was not. This is what he had to say on atheism. He says an atheist is someone who is certain that God does not exist, someone who has compelling evidence against the existence of God. I know of no such compelling evidence, because God can be relegated to remote times and places and to ultimate causes. We would have to know a great deal more about the universe than we do now to be sure that no such God exists. To be certain of the existence of God, and to be certain of the non-existence of God seems to me to be the confident extremes in a subject so riddled with doubt and uncertainty as to inspire very little confidence indeed. You know, we have to realize the concept of God is a man-made self-creation. Fact. Now, about Christianity. Well, he had a point when he made a point on Christianity in the Jefferson Bible. I did this myself, and the results are still the same. He said, "My long-term view about Christianity is that it represents an amalgam of two seemingly irreversible parts, the religion of Jesus and the religion of Paul. Thomas Jefferson attempted to excise the Pauline parts of the New Testament. There wasn't much left when he was done, but it was an inspiring document." It is a good debate. So you would think that then Carl Sagan had no spirituality. Wrong again. Actually, he had a lot of spirituality. He wrote, "The spirit comes from the Latin word to breathe. What we breathe is air, which is certainly matter, however thin. Despite usage to the contrary, there is no necessary implications in the word spiritual that we are talking about anything other than matter, including the matter of which the brain is made, or anything outside the realm of science. On occasion, I will feel free to use the word. Science is not only compatible with spirituality, it is a profound source of spirituality. When we recognize our place in an immensity of light years and in the passage of ages, when we grasp the intricacy, the beauty, the subtlety of life, then that soaring feeling, that sense of elation and humility combined is surely spiritual." Describes a spiritual experience in my frame of reference. How about you? I love this. The advice about buying a used religion. If we have such an emotional stake in the answers, if we want badly to believe, and if it is important to know the truth, then nothing other than a committed, skeptical scrutiny is required. It is not very different from buying a used car. When you buy a used car, it is insufficient to remember that you badly need a car. After all, it has to work. It is insufficient to say that the used car salesman is a friendly fellow. What you generally do is you kick the tires, you look at the odometer, you open up the hood. If you do not feel yourself experts in automobile engines, you bring a friend who is. And you do this for something as unimportant as an automobile, but on issues of the transcendent, of ethics and morals, of the origin of the world, of the nature of human beings. On those issues, should we not insist upon at least equally skeptical scrutiny? Dear God, yes. This man was incredible. He was not against God. I guess if he said, if anything, he said he was agnostic. He did believe that the God of Spinoza and Einstein was truly probably the greatest, description of what a God could be. Now, let's move on, because when you begin to understand what makes the character of the man, you can appreciate their brilliance even more. Science is a way of thinking much more than it is a body of knowledge. Every one of us, in the cosmic perspective, is precious. You are precious. No matter who you are, where you are. Listen to me. There's only one of you. If a human disagrees with you, let him live. In 100 billion galaxies, you will not find another. Each one of you are very special. I may not like what you have to write, but you are special. Listen to this. There are 3 claims in the parapsychology field which, in my opinion, deserves serious study. One with being that young children sometimes report details of a previous life, which upon checking turn out to be accurate, and which they could not have known about in any other way than reincarnation. I'm doing a video on this. I never have been one to believe in that concept, but I'm going to tell you what. There are documented cases. That's something more to this. Who is more humble? The scientist who looks at the universe with an open mind and accepts whatever it has to teach us, or somebody who says everything in this book must be considered the literal truth, and never mind the fallibility of all human beings involved. He challenged us. We need to be challenged today, because here's the point. We are star people. There's a song by Crosby, Stills, and Nash & Young, Woodstock. We are stardust. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in the apple pies were made of the interiors of collapsing stars. That's what makes us unique. All life. Now, I love the man's take on this one. The illegality of cannabis is outrageous and an impediment to full utilization of a drug which helps produce the serenity and the insight, sensitivity, and fellowship so desperately needed in this world, increasingly mad and dangerous world. Yeah, you'd be surprised to how many great minds were users of cannabis. Do you think you're sitting still right now? You're on a planet that is orbiting a star at 30 kilometers per second. That star is orbiting the center of a galaxy at 250 kilometers per second. That galaxy is moving through the universe at a rate of 600 kilometers per second. Since you started reading this, you have traveled about 3,000 kilometers. Folks, our perceptions. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, does it not? So this was what Carl Sagan was very much a part of. This is a part of his life. This man-made object, which is now traveling further than anything man has ever put out into space. Welcome to Voyager 1, launched September 5th, 1977. 40 years, folks. 40 years. This little tiny satellite has now traveled far beyond man's wildest expectations. And Carl Sagan was a part of this. He is the one who designed the disk. The golden disk, which now has been widely accepted among many astrophysicists, was probably the wrong thing to do. But Carl Sagan looked at the universe as more of one of a welcoming. If intelligent life was intelligence out there at all, that it would be not malevolent, but it would be benevolent to all life. And to help you explain a little bit more, you can see here how this was written. You can see the diagrams on each part and what it was meant to do. Now, it still surprises me that if anyone out there in space of a higher intelligence has a turntable, okay, I don't know. But the point is, this is where Carl saw life going. And to his credit, it shall always be established to his soul that what he was a part of is still in existence. He said the brain is like a muscle. When it is used, we feel very good. Understanding is joyous. He also received NASA's highest honor in civilian service. Wasn't aware of that. Sagan believed, and as it turned out, so did they as well. When he sent the signal out in 1974, little did he know that we would actually get an answer. This signal was sent out in the radio telescope down in Puerto Rico. And this was the answer that was out. And here you can actually see. The second of two SETI-type crop pictures appeared near the Chilibontan radio telescope on August 19th and 20th, 2001. One part showed the face of Carl Sagan, while the other part showed a radio telescope message which Sagan had transmitted to the stars in 1974. And what they sent back was incredible. They sent back what their DNA was. Amazing, is it not? Fascinating. So maybe they did hear. Maybe they're here. By the way, Carl Sagan helped write the screenplay for Contact. I did not know this. The classic line in there says, "You're an interesting species, an interesting mix. You're capable of such beautiful dreams, and such horrible nightmares. You feel so lost, so cut off, so alone. Only you're not. See, in all our searching, the only thing we found that makes the emptiness bearable is each other." And this was the famous line in the movie. He was very much a part of this, wrote notes, sent it back, and Durham was also heavily on this. So the next time you watch this movie, you're really watching Carl Sagan. This was his view of the universe. He understood things. He understood how each of us suffer, how each of us struggle. His biggest fear was that we would be hit by an asteroid. He said that in the emptiness, the vastness of space, that this is many of the fate of out there. Now, Sagan and UFOs. He was a part of Project Blue Book. I didn't know this. Now, he really didn't feel that they were actually from outer space, but he said regardless of what any of them actually were, he did not believe that they actually represented a threat. And when the Air Force took a different direction on how they began to do disclosure, Carl Sagan withdrew. I love how this man said it. Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. Isn't that true for all of us? Remember, folks, you are unique in the universe. Always keep that in mind. Every human being you meet on your journey of your life experience, remember, they're as unique as you are. And if we could only come together again as a species and begin to unite on one topic, and let's reach for the stars. And let's not try to dominate each other. Let's not try to steal, accumulate, and corrupt ourselves in a manner that we never mature our souls. I leave you with this thought. You're here on a unique journey. Spread as much joy, as much love. Receive as much joy and as much love as you can. It may be what carries you on beyond. Be kind.